Ako si Attorney Darwin Cañete, and my program is Pugad Vloggers, aired every Monday to Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. dito sa Radyo Bandido, simulcast on DZRJ 810 AM, on Sky Cable, Channel 224, TV Plus boxes, and on free-to-air TV, facebook.com/DZRJ 810 AM, and our official YouTube channel. Nood po kayo!
Pugad Vloggers, ang kurap titirisin, salot sa bayan wawalisin, walang sasantuhin, ang saya-saya nakakabaliw, kasama natin ang tropa. Pugad Vloggers, Pugad Vloggers.
Ayan, good evening mga kapugad. This is Attorney Darwin Cañete. I'll be your host tonight here at Pugad Vloggers dito sa DZRJ 810 AM. Ngayon mga kapugad, it's Monday night. I know you're expecting, of course, our dear good friend, Papi Mark Lopez. Unfortunately, meron po siyang engagement ngayong araw na ito. So, busy po siya at ako po ang napakiusapan niya na again to host for this Monday edition of Pugad Vloggers. So good evening sa inyo. I admit I'm a bit unprepared, no, as to what to talk about tonight, but I saw a few topics na pwede nating pahapyawan, no, just to update you kung anong nangyayari sa social media. Yung may mga Twitter accounts and Facebook accounts diyan, napapansin niyo siguro na nagti-trending yung topic ng bagong pelikula ni Direct Darwin, no? The Made in Malacanang. So, maraming mga reaction syempre na lumalabas on social media. And in fact, triggered ho yung mga anti-Marcos at anti-Duterte, the usual suspects, no? Hindi nila gusto yung nilabas na pelikula na lalabas on I think August 3 of Direct Darwin. But for me, no, I don't see anything wrong with it. Sabihin na natin na obviously biased or skewed yung lalabas na pelikula. There might even be problems of historical accuracy. Magkakaroon ng, sabihin na natin na konting editorializing as to what actually happened, kung ano yung coverage ng movie na yun, no? But I don't see a problem with it. Marami sa inyo siguro may Netflix account, no? For those who do, you will know what I'm talking about. Yung tinatawag na series called The Crown. Yung The Crown ho is parang series ng certain eras of the royal family, na kung saan yung mga dramatization nung mga nangyari sa kanilang time as royals, ginawang drama series. Nandun yung paborito kong actress currently, no? Si Olivia Colman. And we also have Gillian Anderson, yung naging actress dun sa favorite series ko nung 90s, yung X-Files. She's playing Margaret Thatcher. And then you have, of course, the dramatization of the years where Prince Charles had an affair with his current spouse, no, Camilla Parker Bowles. And then, of course, na-cover din ng series na yon, The Crown, yung naging breakdown ng marriage ni Prince Charles at saka ni Lady Diana, the late Princess Diana. So, there might be, I would call it, artistic license taken to dramatize, to make the entire series more watchable for those who are subscribing, no, to the series, no, yung mga nanonood, yung mga nakalagay sa kanilang watch list, yung The Crown. Certainly, that is not begrudged of the producers of The Crown. yung editorializing, yung dramatization ng mga actual real-life events, hindi na ho bago yan. Yung mga nagninitpick doon sa ipalalabas ni Direk Daryl Yap na pelikula, Made in Malacanang, would actually question certain parts. Like, for example, may scene siguro na aeroplano, and wala pang aeroplano 737 invento 1987. But those are production values. That has nothing to do with historical accuracy. Pero most likely, yun ang magiging point of view ng mga critics ng pelikula. They will nitpick, no? Maliliit na bagay yung pagpipilitan nilang mali at so mali na lahat. But that's denying the artistic license given to certain presenters. Like in The Crown, there may be conversations that did not happen, but for purposes of playing up the drama, ilalagay sa script and i-act nung program yung ganong scene. It is to provide narrative continuity, to create some sort of, sometimes merong mga tinaglang exposition dialogue. Ano exposition dialogue? Yung mga hindi pa nakakahabol based on kung anong palitan ng salita at hindi sila familiar sa mga personalities involved, mayroong isang character palagi na magpapaliwanag kung anong nangyari so far. Those are the exposition dialogues. Sa pelikulang Tagalog, we are up to have a character, siguro comic relief character or supporting character who will, pag nawawala ka na doon sa storya, if any, of course, appears in the Tagalog film, merong mag-explain anong nangyari so far. So, para pagdating mo doon sa part na ikaw yung, lahat ng plot points mag-converge na, hindi ka mawawala kung saan ka na sa storya. So, there it is. You cannot really begrudge Director Daryl Yap his directorial artistic license to present, because it is a movie, hindi yan documentary. It's not meant to be. It is meant to be a dramatization. So you have, for example, kung nanonood yung mga mahilig din sa classics, no? Shakespeare, for example, you have certain plays that you have, let's say, yung Macbeth, or yung mga royal plays niya, like King Richard ba yun? Yeah, there will be parts na historical, there will be parts that are artistic license, yung finil-in na lang ng writer like Shakespeare to fill out the story. So same with Made in Malacanang. If you're looking at it as a documentary, talagang marami kang mapapansin doon, marami kang masasabing mali. But if you're looking at it as a film by itself telling a story, you will just enjoy it for what it is. Now, there may be mahahalong facts, may mahalong dramatization, but it is what it is. That is where the art of the director comes in. Diba? Paano niya ma-blend yung storya at yung historical fact? Diba? We have, for example, another film that I had in mind, which is Evita Peron. We have the play of Andrew Lloyd Webber. Yung sa pelikula ni Madonna, then we have the medium of the stage play, Evita. Di ba? But how accurate is that compared to what actually happened in Argentina? The administration of her husband. So I'm sure wala namang singing doon sa actual historical fact. I mean, people don't deliver their lines in a song. But of course, in order to create the art of presenting Evita Peron in a certain light, there is artistic license, di ba? So hindi ko alam kung bakit napaka-touchy and napaka-triggered ng mga Dilawans and mga critics ng Marcoses. Di ba? If I remember correctly, there were films of the 1986 EDSA revolution that happened. Di ba? There was, if I remember correctly, sino ba yung photographer? Dangerous, Dangerous Times, or parang ganun ang, I forgot the title, no? But there was an American film about it. Wala namang, hindi naman, hindi naman sabihin na natin accurate to a certain, to a T. Diba? But it presents a certain point of view of the events that happened. So go on, take it for what it is. It is a artistic presentation of a particular side of a historical event. Not necessarily accurate, not necessarily, historically exact. But who are we to say that it didn't happen? Because alam niyo yung kwento as a whole based on what historians tell you, but these are, I'm sure, may input ito ng mga taong involved. If there was a, I'm sure, I know, since the director is publicly identified with the actual personalities involved in the incident, and he's telling the story from their side, ang presumption doon is that there was a sort of consultancy. Kinonsulta mo na whether certain dialogues or certain events or certain incidents that transpired on their side, how did it happen? To be honest, hindi ko alam yung brouhaha over the fact that one side chose to present their side through a movie. We all have freedom of expression and freedom of speech. And of all things, history is the most subject to argument and revision. Diba? For example, yung masasabi nating discovery of America, yung pagdiscovery ni Christopher Columbus ng Amerika. A lot of people would say, it's a great day because Europe finally came to America. But if you are telling the story from the side of the occupied, or in our sense, no, siguro remember what happened with Pigafetta. Ito ay historiador ng Spain. Di ba? No. Let me just correct. I'm sorry, not Pigafetta. But let me check kung ano yung, let me try to be accurate, no? Jose Rizal went to Spain. Tiningnan lahat ng mga storya na sinulat tungkol sa atin. Di ba? Merong pumunta siya sa mga libraries. He went like Spain. Right. He chronicled, Antonio Pigafetta was an Italian scholar and explorer. He joined the expedition to the Spice Islands led by explorer Ferdinand Magellan. Yun ang nakalagay doon sa Wikipedia niya. So, nung si Jose Rizal nakita yung accounts ng Spain occupying the Philippines, maraming nakita si Rizal doon. So, nagsulat din siya ng sarili niyang comments doon. Pinag-aralan niya yung mga sinulat ng mga historiador ng Spain tungkol sa Pilipinas. Okay, no, it's not Pigafetta, it's Morga. Views of Rizal, Morga, and Views of Philippine History. This was written before, no? There was Rizal, sabi ito, discovered the writings, no, of Pigafetta while doing research. Okay? So maraming kinorek si Rizal doon sa account ni Pigafetta. Same thing here. There has to be somebody, I mean, people have been trying to correct the 1986 EDSA revolution to be more accurate to what actually happened. Kasi we have living witnesses to what happened. Ang pinaka, for example, dyan is Juan Ponce Enrile, who wrote his own biography. Di ba? Nagkaroon siya ng, it was launched a few years ago. And I think he's writing more to add to that book. Di ba? So, ganun. Which is why I don't see why a lot of, so-called celebrity historians are very offended when people try to question and add to that body of knowledge using the viewpoints of people who have not been asked of what happened. Andun sila. They are what you would call living witnesses. Di ba? We have Rita Gatti, who's still living, who was one of the press people who are very close to the Marcoses. And she has been repeatedly, paulit-ulit na niyang pinipresent. Meron siyang may nakapansin kay Rita Gatti, she has this entire book. I'm not saying book in the sense na written na. It's like parang clippings, mga may nakalagay na mga pictures, mga actual physical evidence. Nung mga kinikwento niya, whenever she has a chance to explain or to tell her side of the Marcoses. Ganun yun eh. It is a changing thing as more facts or more information are welcome and analyzed. Na hindi ko sinasabing maniwala tayo sa kwento ng mga Marcoses or the film or what is even being depicted there. I'm just saying that that avenue of expression is present. Diba? Andun yun. Pag-aralan mo, basahin mo, pag-isipan mo, basahin mo yung other side, although actually ito na yung ito na yung other side eh. Yung iba natutunan mo na since indoctrinated na yan sa yung bata ka pa kasama na yun sa pagtuturo eh ng mga maraming eskwelahan eh. And bombarded ka ng ganong kwento, ang mass media. Natataon nga tuwing EDSA Revolution, paulit-ulit sinasaksak sa utak mo ng ABS-CBN yung kwento ng 1986 EDSA Revolution. So this is now your chance to curate. Tingnan mo yung sinasabi ng kabila. You don't have to accept. We're not saying you should accept it. Wala namang ganun eh. Wala nang pamimilit kaya ginawang entertainment eh. Di ba? Kung hindi man kayo satisfied sa historical accuracy or hindi kayo umaayon, at least be entertained by a good story. Yun lang naman yun eh. So hindi ko alam ito yung parang sabi nga nila eh, parang hindi mapakali yung social media ng mga dilaw. I don't know. Don't they like the premises of their narrative being questioned? Ganun ba ka fragile? Ganun ba ka nipis nung ito lang ganun ba kanipis yung quality ng kanilang historical accounts? Because if they really believe this is what happened, then it will stand by itself. Sabi nga nila res ipsa loquitur, that is the principle of law that says the thing speaks for itself. If the history of the Dilawans as they have narrated it over 36 years is solid yan. Ibig sabihin, walang question, ito talaga nangyari, ito talagang ginawang kasamaan ng mga Marcoses, sinasabi nila, ganun. O bakit kayo natatakot na i-question niya? It would stand by itself. Di ba? Basic lang yun. Kung mali yan, yung pinipresenta ng pelikulang yan, o mali yung pinipresenta ng other side, hindi tatagal yan eh. Di ba? Sometimes we are looking at the marketplace. Let's look at it as a marketplace of ideas, di ba? Yung mga ideas at mga accounts na talagang sabi na rin built to last, will last. Hindi yung konting hangin lang, konting buga ng opposing view, ititiklop na. Then where does the accuracy stand? You know, how solid is your research? How solid is your claims that this is what happened if it cannot stand his scrutiny or questioning? Di ba? No, I'm not a historian. Hindi ko pinagmangalandakan any academic credentials. But I am a person who understands the clash of ideas. Di ba? Yung ideas. For example, the idea of communism. Tama? Where is communism now as an idea, as a society, as an economic theory? Where does it stand now? Ayun, nasa basurahan. Only one or a few countries now hold true to the true communism doctrine, and they're not doing too well. Or if I'm being generous pag sinasabi kong they're not doing too well. I'm saying communism as a field ideology. Hindi ko alam kung bakit sa Pilipinas embrace yung mga pari at maraming mga woke at mga estudyante dyan sa idea of communism. Because in terms of history and proven by events, it has failed. It has not stood the test of time. What is now the predominant ideology is capitalism, free enterprise. Oh, so history has judged that communism, no matter how, you know, the wokes, the activists dress it up, is a failure. And that's what I'm saying about the villainization of the Marcoses. That's what I'm saying about the villainization of the pre-EDSA government. Diba? If it is so solid that you stand by, you know, talagang matibay yung paniniwala nyo, tama yung account na narinig nyo from 1987 onwards, kung gaano kasama ang Marcoses. I think we have already judged by the elections of May 2022. The overwhelming mandate is 31 million votes. Diba? Ano ang, hindi naman nagkulang sa pangangampanya na ni-recycle against the Marcoses nung election eh. Tinawag niyong magnanakaw, tinawag niyong pamilyang mandarambong, tinawag niyong kung ano-ano pa. Tinawag niyong ang adik lumabas sa drug test na negative. All of those paninira, it's out there. It's out there. Hindi nagkulang kung sasabihin ninyo na there was misinformation, there was disinformation. You are actually saying gaano kahina yung kampanya ninyo. Because if your campaign was any strong, you know, kung talagang strong yung kampanya nyo, you should have been able to get the message out already. Kaya lang, again, in the marketplace of ideas, in the campaign, in the war of information, hindi tumagal, it did not stick. So, this is the same battle we are fighting now. We are replaying a battle that has already been won. People have already rejected the EDSA narrative. The parts that are, of course, inaccurate, that has been propaganda. So ano ba't trigger kayo? 31 million people have already, more than 31 million people have already signified that they are ready and willing to accept, di ba, new information coming in and balancing the narrative that has been out there by mass media, that has been shaped by people. Look, tingnan natin dito. Who owns ABS-CBN, for example? The Lopezes, who has a general grudge against the Marcoses. Diba? So may stake, may interest in shaping a particular story. Kaya paulit-ulit sa narrative sa kanilang channel, talagang bad guys ang Marcoses, good guys kung sinong kalaban nila. Diba? Now, we're not saying, again, we're not trying to sanctify or make the Marcoses form any kind of saints. Their administration, like many administrations, has good and bad. Yun. Ang problema lang kasi, the demonization is such that the vilification is so massive, hindi balanse yung kwento eh. So anong resulta ngayon? The hatred, the toxicity stems from the identity politics. If necessary, di ba? I mean, you look at it. Identity politics. Pag ikaw ay certain political color or you belong to a certain group, anything opposite you, gusto mo nang sakalin. Gusto mo nang saktan. And that is towards people who have ideas like that. And these people, hindi mo naman kilala. Hindi naman gumawa ng mali sa iyo. The cancellation, the cancel culture is there. The toxicity against a person you never knew but you only knew because he voted a certain way, di ba? Dahil bumoto ng at naniwala sa certain way, hindi mo kilala, walang ginawang kasalanan sa iyo, you automatically hate them. See, that's why we need to put balance in the story. And I think this is correct. Whether you believe in the accuracy of Made in Malacanang or whatever, yung naglabas lang ng opinion, yung Ella Cruz, you can see the reaction is so toxic. Murderous na halos eh. So, we need to balance. Balance ang hinahanap natin dito. Not sanctification of the Marcoses, but neither vilification din. And, di ba? Balance. So anyway, that's my take on the movie that's coming out on August 3 of Darwin. Take it for what it is. It is a movie. Di ba? Huwag masyadong loaded. Di ba? Kung if it's a bad movie, bad acting, etc., you reject it on those terms. Now, the story, the plot, etc., yes, fair enough. Kung di maganda, etc. But to make it a cultural touchstone for, for political reasons, the toxic, I mean, that's, you're putting more thing, kayo lang it's not it's self-serving then, and at the same time, it's counterintuitive. Ibig sabihin, kayo ang, you're trying to put a flag on that hill. So, kung imbes na makatulong sa inyo to ignore it, lalong you're making it bigger than what it is. It's a movie, for God's sakes, di ba? Pelikula lang yan. Di ba? To be honest, I'm quite disappointed with the movie going crowd. There's another film na na-miss natin, which I think deserves more a rewatch. No, it's called The SAF 44. No, I don't know what happened to the movie, but I was able to. I hope to be able to watch it. No? But I think the least that the SAF 44 deserves is to be their memories to be carried to the next generation. Anyway, that's just for me. Okay, another topic. Okay, teka, batingin ko lang siguro yung mga nandito na sa ating Facebook, no? Medyo, ano tayo dito? Yan. Argus Troy is listening from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Hello, Argus. Patrick De Los Reyes, good evening mga kapugad. Patrick De Los Reyes says, romanticize nila yung pagiging makakaliwa. Yes, correct. Cute siguro or gusto niyo magpa-cute sa isang maging rebel, di ba? Very attractive yung story niya eh. Rebelde, pa-aktivista, you look cool, etc. Pero ilang mga estudyante nating na-recruit na mundok, na layo sa pamilya, umuwing bangkay. That's the common story that you should keep in mind, people. May nabalitaan nga ako isang kabataan activist yata was barred from enrolling in Makati School. Good for the school. Diba? Yung karapatan ng estudyanteng mag-enroll is pwede niya dalhin kahit saan yung kanyang right to enroll, but not necessarily have to be in your school. Now, where you have the duty to protect your students from indoctrination, di ba? Yung mga doktrinang makakaliwa na maaaring magdala sa kanila sa um, kapahamakan. So good on you, that school in Makati. You did the right thing. Huwag ho kayo magpa-enroll ng mga aktivista na hindi naman papasok kundi manggugulo lang. Magre-recruit ng mga estudyante para dalhin sa bundok. Pag-awayin at paghiwalayin sa pamilya nagmamahal sa kanila. At ilang taong mamumundok, uwing bangkay sa kanilang mga pamilya. No family deserves that pain. Good on you. Agus Roy, attorney, what started as half-truth or lie will never stand intelligent scrutiny. Tama yun. We're not saying Made in Malacanang is, of course, the gospel truth. May ano din yan, may konting artistic license in favor of the party that produced it. Meron din yang bias or angle. I'm just saying that you need that kind of balancing. You heard one story, you heard the other story. Now you, ikaw na listener, ikaw na watcher, ikaw na viewer, ikaw na consumer ng information, will have a chance to balance the two perspectives and come up with what you think is what happened. Diba? Hindi monopoly ho yan. History is being changed every day. Who was George Bush during the Middle East War? Wow, ang dami pumalakpak sa kanya. Then 10 years later, ang daming nagsabing he's a killer. He's a liar because there was no weapons of mass destruction found after they invaded Iraq. See, those are historic. Those are the things that happened subsequently. We all thought that this thing happened. Itong nangyari. Iisip natin itong totoong nangyari. Then, more facts are found along the years or mas maraming nagka-come out and tell their part of the story and mag-iiba yung perspektiba mo. Or not. It depends on you. Diba? But don't you believe o hindi ba kayo naniniwala na everybody's entitled to say their piece as part of freedom of expression? Bakit nyo sinasara? Mary Dennis, good evening sa'yo, Dennis. Patrick de los Reyes, tama po, inabangan ko din po yung pelikula ng SAP 44. Mary's Angel Polenyo, happy watching po, Attorney Darwin from Hong Kong. Happy watching. Thank you for watching Pugad Vloggers. Veron Suzuki, good evening, Sir Attorney Darwin. Tama, Attorney, grabe ginawa ni Cory administration pang brainwash sa mga buong sambayanan Pilipino. Ilang dekada na hanggang ngayon, kaya mabuti na lang at ginawa nilang movie para mapanood ang totoong nangyari sa pamilya Marcos. Siguradong nakakaya. God bless watching from Japan. Okay, that's from Veron Suzuki. Okay, like I said, hindi natin sinasabing yun ang totoo. Hindi natin sinabing totoong nangyari. There will be artistic license. There will be inaccuracies if proven subsequently. But we cannot deny, di natin maalis sa mga Marcoses na linisin ang pangalan nila at hindi natin maalis kay Direk Daryl Yap ang kanyang karapatan to express his art through the film. So there it is. Diba? Look, these topics, pinag-aaway nito, pabago ko pumasok sa topic na ito, which is history and etc. You need a certain level of maturity, certain level of mental and emotional stability. Kasi hindi madali tanggapin ang certain facts that will appear. And your biases, yung inyong pipiliing side, yung inyong identity politics, will really, really take its toll on you as a person kung you hold on to that without the freedom of, the open-mindedness to accept. So ganon. We have to deal with it maturely. Hindi ito maunang part na mag-argue yung both sides. But I think the May 2022 elections already decisively said, tama na yan. Wala na tayong, huwag na tayong mag-away tungkol dito. We vote for the current president, let's support him, etc. Diba? 31 million people said so. So the sooner you accept it for what it is, chill na lang. Diba? We have problems to tackle na marami diyan hindi natin kasalanan o hindi kasalanan ng kaninong administrasyon o kahit sinong gobyerno pang nakaupo. And one of them was of course the inflation, the incoming currency problems between US and Europe, yung energy problems ng Europe dahil sa Russian oil and gas, yung taas ng presyo ng fuel. Those things are dictated by the market. Diba? And no president, no person can completely solve the problem. They can mitigate it. Pwedeng gumawa ng emergency measures, shifting ng resources, etc. Diba? But again, these are the crises that is coming. And yung mag-argue pa tayo kung anong nangyari in 1986 doesn't really make sense. Because if the president fails, because you hate him because of your identity politics, yung toxic social media exchanges, the president fails, you live here, sa Pilipinas. But even if you don't live here, di ba, meron kang siguro kamag-anak or sinusuportan sa Pilipinas who will feel the brunt of the world economy. So, mag-aaway tayo sa napakapeting bagay, may hinaharap tayong napakabigat na problema. So, that says so much about your priorities in life. Na uunahin nyo pang masatisfy ang ego ninyo na pumili kayo ng good at kaming 31 million ay pumili ng bad. Di ba? But at the end of the day, we all have the same, we bear the same brunt, the same burden. Lalong-lalo na if you wish and help and contribute in the failure of the president. Do you really want to do that? I mean, anong point ninyo sa kapipintas ninyo, di ba, on his speech, the way he talks, or, you know, yung his priorities, his choices of cabinet officials? We want him to succeed. And because that will, you know, babalik sa atin yan bilang Pilipino. But here we are arguing about a movie. Kita nyo how absurd that is? We're arguing about a movie that happened, about something that happened 36 years ago. Why is that an itch that needs to be scratched? Bakit kailangan kamutin yung katin na yun? Diba? Don't we have issues of the stomach to worry about? Wala ba tayong mga issues sa laman ng tiyan na pag-uusapan na how do we deal with inflation? How do we deal with the oil crisis that is impending because Russian oil and Saudi oil, you know, the production, the inflation that's coming? Aren't those topics more worth it to talk about than, ano? What can we do to, ano, to lower the cost of food? Diba? Dapat magturo tayo sa mga may kaya natin na to be charitable to other less well-off Filipinos. Why are we not talking about the job market? The coming face-to-face classes? Ganon. Pero no, we are stuck in social media, in our echo chambers, talking about a film, arguing historical accuracy and who's the villain and who's the hero. Sabi ko nga dun sa isa, pathetic eh. We are fighting battles of people who don't even know we live. We you know, masyado kang dilaw na dilaw eh. Ilan dis na dilaw na sinasamba mo, kilala ka. Kita mo isang artista dyan, nagkasakit, You know, I mean, God help him, but I hope he gets well. But he's so rabid during the elections. I don't see his fellow Dilawans and Pinks scrambling to help him. Nasa ospital yung tao, fanatic na fanatic. Nakita mo bang nakakandara pa yung mga Dilawan para bayaran yung bill niya sa ospital, tulungan siyang maoperahan? 'Di ba? And I do hope he gets help. Kahit sa hindi kaside ng politika niya, wala nang politika pag buhay ng taong involved. But you see the hypocrisy of the Dilawans, 'di ba? Napaka galing nilang malinis, mag-preach, magsabi ng ganito. But when it comes to the proof of the pudding, yung talagang in-expect mong magkandarapang magtulong ng one of them, isa sa kanila, yung fanatic sa kanila, wala. Tayo pa yung nag-i-spread ng balita para may mamaawa at makatulong. 'Di ba? That is so we have become a petty people. 36 years of Channel 2, well, I would blame that, you know, the Dilawan narrative making us infantile, petty, lahat reduced to showbiz arguments. Nobody's giving intelligent arguments anymore. It's a pity. Lastly, ang gustong pag-usapan tungkol doon sa ICC, you know, why is that even an issue? Yung ICC, yung may kumibot na prosecutor, they will continue the drug war, etc., etc. Why is that even an issue? We are not a member of the ICC anymore. So whatever, kung anong utot nila dyan sa Geneva, wala tayong pakialam. They can come here as tourists. Diba? But we are not part of the ICC anymore. Ano pang ginagawa nila? You know, we are in a crisis economy. Right? We have better things to spend our money on. Tama? Oh. So if we have better things to spend our money on, why are we going to rejoin the ICC na kung saan mag-annual membership ka and you have to pay millions of dollars to be members of? And then ang gagawin lang ng ICC is magpapadala ng prosecutor dito at maghahanap ng butas para ipakulong ang isa sa pinakamamahal na presidente ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. The people have given their outstanding approval to the president. We love the person. In fact, recently lang pumunta yung mga bloggers and supporters and social media supporters of the president. Pumunta doon si Attorney Trixie, si Mark Lopez, our good friend and host here in Pugad Vloggers, and doon si Crisette Laureta Chu, the prime mover. MJ Cambao Reyes, I saw, I think Janice Lau was there also. And many, many others who went there to give the President Rodrigo Roa Duterte a watch na crowdfund. Okay? Crowdfund ho yan bilang pasasalamat kay President Duterte. He is one of the most beloved president leaders of this country in our entire history. And then ang gusto ng mga wokes dyan, of course, mga kontra, anti-Duterte, anti-Marcos, mga pula, mga aktivistang walang silbi, is to goad the government of President Marcos to rejoin the ICC, to subject itself like a good dog to the white masters of the ICC. Parang ginawa tayong aso na gustong sumunod because nagsabi ang international body na itong gawin mo. Pumito sila, sunod tayo. We have no business anymore with the ICC. We have withdrawn. Umalis na po tayo sa ICC. Ano na po tayo doon? Wala na po tayong business sa kanila. Wala na tayong obligasyon sa kanila. Hindi rin natin ugali dapat, hindi rin natin to always check with foreigners on whether we did good or not. We are an independent country. Tayo po ay hiwalay at malayang gobyerno at bayan. Bakit para tayong aso na kailangang sumunod kung magdikta ang mga banyaga? Why is that? Di ba? Bakit ganun? Why are we going to do that? We are not a member of the ICC anymore. They have no jurisdiction. Wala silang authority, and because we are not under a Supreme Court. Baka akala ng ibang bayan dyan, pag sinabing International Criminal Court, may mas mataas pa sa Supreme Court ng Pilipinas. No. We are an independent state. There is no higher court than our Supreme Court. And for so long as our courts are working, for so long as due process is working, for so long as our law enforcers are working, walang karapatan manghipasok ang kaninong banyaga. We are open. Our courts are open. Diba? Our Supreme Court is functioning. So, ano ito? Maninira ka sa ibang bayan na sabing things are not working just so that you can persecute one of the most popular presidents to ever sit in our country's history? You are so unpatriotic. You do not love this country. You love your egos. Sa totoo lang, these people have ulterior motive. Alam mo, ang gusto ng mga tao nito, sila yung namumuno, sila yung nasusunod. Natalo na nga, tambak na nga, kala mo kung sinong ang yayabang na sila pa dapat ang masunod. Are you crazy? Are you kidding me? Kailangan natin ng pera para gastusan ng... We are still under COVID epidemic. Marami pa tayong mga cases that need urgent funds. Marami tayong paggagastusan. We need food security, which is our priority. Why are we going to spend money to maintain our membership with the ICC? And ang gagawin lang ng ICC is to persecute one of ours. Para sa akin, only a Filipino can judge another Filipino if the crime is committed within the Philippines. Walang iba. No person. Kung gusto nyong kasuhan si President Duterte, you come up with evidence, you file in our courts. But no foreigner, if it happens in the Pilipinas, no foreigner should dictate and impose their will on us. Sovereign country po tayo. Malaya po tayong bayan. Hindi po tayo dapat magpaalipin, magpaalila, na magparang aso sa ibang sa ibang bayan. Sa ibang, whether that's an international body or a foreign country, no. We are a free country. We should have our pride. We should stand on our feet and proclaim loudly, no, this cannot happen. Okay? So, yun. That is my little spill on the ICC. So, you ICC prosecutors, pupunta kayo dito, makikichismis kayo doon sa mga critics ng gobyerno. One thing I'm really offended at sabi nila, this, what's his name? Hanapin ko lang yung pangalan ng bantay ka, bayhana ka. Kaning sino ba tong yung ICC person na ito. Sabi daw niya, that there should be no, yung sa press freedom daw, there should be, diba? President Marcos is not the person you should tell that there is a suppression of press freedom. The guy has been here for a bit for what? Wala pa isang buwan. Not even 1 month as president. So far, there has been no policy pronouncement or statement that the president is persecuting any particular member of the press. Diba? So why is the call directed towards him? He has done nothing. What happened with Reza, as the ICC prosecutor has said, is part of the due process. He was tried under a court that was from a previous administration on an offense that happened before that administration by a private citizen. Diba? Hindi porke press ka, you're exempted from libel laws. You know the rules before you entered into that kind of speech. Hindi bata yung kausap nyo dyan. Alam nila ang piniprint nila. And that was done during the administration of Noynoy. The libel happened then. Diba? And it was reprinted. It was a continuing for so long as hindi niya tinatanggal sa website nila. It's a continuing libel. Diba? Kung napagsabihan silang mali yan, ba't hindi nila tinanggal? So, that is their obligation. Nung umabot, ang continuing libel sa time nila, naging cyber libel, continuing libel, yun, na-convict siya. It was fairly explained in the decision. Ang problema kasi dito sa rap, you know, mga tagapalakpak nitong scrotum face, they always cut the story short. Hindi nila pinapaliwanag yung buong decision and rationalization of the judge and the justice who ruled on appeal. Palaging biktima kami, victim card kami, swipe ng victim card nila. Diba? Never nilang inexplain ng buo how the court and the Court of Appeals came up with the final judgments against her, against no bail price, Miss No Bail Price. Bakit naging ganun ang decision ng court? Nandoon sa decision ng court kung bakit ganito. Now, if the fact that you disagree with the court decision doesn't mean you're right. Kung gagawin natin na lahat ng natalo, yun ang tama, wala nang court decision, wala nang finality enforcement ng court decisions. Kasi palaging talo na daya Palaging may oppression pag natalo But court decisions, like it or not, are fairly explained in the decision. Ando kung bakit ganito ang resulta. Bakit hindi nyo i-print yung buong decision at palaging opinion ninyo na kontra ang lumalabas? Because you cannot, hindi nyo matitibag yung decision because solid solid I-print nyo yung actual decision doon sa website nyo. Bakit kayo na-convict? Solid yung decision Hindi nyo ma-print. Ayaw nyo mabasa ng foreigners. Kasi masisira kwento ninyo. But print the actual decision on your website. I dare you. Line by line, reason for reason, point by point. And then yung appeal. I-print ninyo yung decision ng appeal. Point by point, line by line. In its entirety. I dare you. Puro kayo pa victim card Di ba? So anyway, we have Rodela Gajisan. Thank you. Good evening, Attorney Darwin. That movie by Director Ariel will showcase what really happened during the last days of the Marcos Malacanang. But what's more important now is that instead of criticizing PBBM's administration, who's just more than 2 weeks, let's all unite and support our present administration so that this nation can move on and be great again. You know, that's a good message as anything that I can say tonight. So thank you, Rodela Gajisan. Alejandro Teves is also watching. Thank you for watching, Alejandro. So anyway, it's 7:55. So I'd like to end my rant program or by greeting, of course, my wife and 2 kids, Grayson and Sophia, and my wife, Wilfreda Wilma. My mom, Vilma Cañete, is on Davao City. Condolences to, of course, to the daughter of my former yaya who died. So condolences po sa pamilya. And of course, like to greet my fellow Kapugad vloggers who are probably watching or in their social media will watch later. Marica Serrano, Doc Edel Pineda, they will be there Tuesday, Wednesday. You have Professor Van Ibernas, likewise, of course, Harold Tan, my good friends in social media. Thank you for staying friends. Alam natin na Luz Papa is good evening daw, and Dennis South, sila lang pwede mag-file ng libel, di ba dati na libel din si Beltran, wala naman sa kanila ang sabit na oppress ang mama. Yes. Leticia Torre Dacanay, hello, good evening. So anyway, thank you for joining us here in Pugad Vloggers. We are here live stream dito sa Facebook, YouTube page. Facebook, DZRJ 810 AM Facebook page. Meron din kami sa YouTube. So find our there. And also for those who have other apps like Radio Garden, you can listen to us. And of course, yung mga nasa cable channel 224 on cable channels. Yun, you can, multi-platform program tayo. And also watch out for the next 2 programs sa ating channel dito sa DCRJ. We have Oras ng Himala and of course Kakampi with Bernard Tan. And yun, dito kayo sa DCRJ, make this kung pwede lang i-paste nyo na, wag na maglipat ng ibang channel ng AM radio. This is a very one of the more engaging talk radios in the Metro Manila. So thank you sa mga nanood sa inyo sa Pugad Vloggers, and good night. This is Attorney Darwin Cañete. Bye.
Pugad Vloggers, ang kurap titirisin, salot sa bayan wawalisin, walang sasantuhin, ang saya-saya